Hey everybody, welcome to Airtime Paintball, where folks come to get all the information they need to find great paintball values. Today, we're going to talk about the Control Hopper from Bunker Kings, and maybe find out if you should buy one. The Control Hopper from Bunker Kings, new jobber. Lots of people have been waiting for this thing. Super cool. These use the Spire 3 guts, so we already know that it's going to feed well. And for folks who aren't familiar with the Spire 3, the Spire series have all been great hoppers. They use a tower system with little rubber feet in the bottom. We're going to look at it in a minute. That spin around and feed paint out the vertical feed hole. So they almost never jam. Mechanically great. They can feed super fast. I've tried this hopper up to 15 balls a second. No problems feeding. So yeah, what I want to do is kind of go through the good and then maybe the not so good with this hopper. So the good. The materials feel great. It feels just super high quality, which is what you want in an expensive hopper. And we're going to get to the price in here in a minute. But yeah, the quality of material is great. It feels high end. It looks cool. It's got these neat badges on the side. It doesn't come with the speed feed, but the speed feeds you can get for them work really well. Bunker Kings have made these for other hoppers with this same exact style. In fact, they include a little spare piece in case you break one or lose one when you buy the speed feed separate, so that's pretty cool. Another accessory this does not come with is spring ramps, but I do have a spring ramp installed. So yeah, they feed fast, feels really good, looks good. They're low profile. Here, I'm gonna hold it up next to another hopper, see if you can see this. It's not a huge difference, but it is lower for sure. And it looks a lot lower. I mean, it's you know, it is, I guess what I'm trying to say is it's definitely literally a bit lower, but just like the appearance of it is very streamlined and low, super cool. So let's pop this open. More of the good. Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot about one feature. So we have the, right here on the bottom, you can see there's an LED. Now I'm gonna try to do this for the camera. What that LED does is indicate when the hopper is at just the right angle, supposedly, to shoot the back corner bunkers on a regulation NXL field. And I forget if that's from home or the other corner. It's got to be home, I guess. But I'm going to move it slowly up through so you can see it go green and then red. Yeah, LED level indicator. And I'm going to include that in good for now because it's a feature. So yeah. And then I'm going to pop this open. Super easy to take apart to clean. This little latch pops up and it just comes apart. I mean, super simple. Here we can see the spring ramp. Spire guts. Here, let's pop the whole thing out. This is held in with magnets, so it's really easy to put together and take apart for cleaning and such. Again, shell materials feel good, a little bit flexy, but it's, you know, they tried to make it a little bit lighter weight, but it seems high quality. This tower is kind of the main idea behind the Spire, all the Spire hoppers, and we have these flexible rubber feet here. This sits on top and turns and feeds the paint through the hole. They almost pretty much never jam. I've never had one jam. The feet are flexible. They don't break paint in them. It's a really effective system, and Bunker Kings did a good job. I'm not sure if they licensed it or how that works, but whatever they did to come to an agreement to use this, it was a good choice. It's a proven system. No reason to reinvent the wheel. Works great. One thing that is a positive, and we're going to talk about this again in a minute, is you can see the tray of this here has a curve. I'm not sure if you can see it on the video, but it's curved this way and it's elevated a bit like a ramp. So paint's definitely falling straight in there without a spring ramp, although you can put one on there. Again, we'll get to that. Here's the front spring ramp. These are standard in case you're not familiar. The weight of the paint in a full hopper holds it down, but as you shoot and the weight gets to be less, the ramp is lifted by the springs to help the paint feed without you having to do the shake number. It's effective, great. These don't come with it, you gotta buy it, and I keep saying we're gonna get to that. Looks like a Spire on the bottom, easy to change batteries, uses 3 AAAs. So yeah, the good. looks great. Proven feed system, nice and fast, doesn't jam. The shell feels high quality, very easy to take apart and put together. Just snaps together. Yeah, cool looks. The LED thing, I guess you can include as a feature. I'm not going to go so far as to call it good, and we're about to talk about that. So there we have the good. High performance, good looks. Yeah. Okay, so the bad. You can't even talk about this hopper without talking about how much it costs. And I want to talk about, or tell you about the retail price. Now, recently, Bunker Kings is kind of been all over the place with their pricing. There, like, it seems like every other day there's a different coupon, 20% off. We had one last week, 40% off. Depending on which avenue you go to buy it, some places they're just on sale for less money. Sometimes there's a code where you can get free speed feed and spring ramps. Like, it's all these different mishmash, and I kind of understand why they're almost seeming like a little schizophrenic with their pricing. They're just like jumping all over the place with these sales and offers and coupons and such, like a constant barrage. Well, here's why, probably. The retail price of this hopper is, I keep glancing over here because I've got it down. I don't want to make any mistakes. It's $235. That's with no speed feed and no spring ramps. $235. The spring ramps are $12, and the speed feed is $45. So that means that retail price, if you don't get one of these coupons or codes or specials or sales or whatever it is they're doing, that's $292 for this hopper. $292. I read the manual several times, and I don't see anything in there about this thing like automatically shooting people. So why anyone on earth would pay $292 for a hopper is a mystery to me. Clearly in the bad category. So we talked about spring ramps, and I'm going to pop this open again. Well, it comes apart easy. That's positive. This is the rear spring ramp. It's supposed to go on here. It did. On the back. Now, I mentioned that you don't really need a spring ramp in the back because of the curve and the angle, and that's true. I never have any problem with it feeding, so this isn't a big deal. But every time I say something that isn't a big deal or criticize a feature, try to keep in mind that our frame of reference is essentially $300 hopper. My opinion, there should be nothing to criticize about this thing for $300. I have guns that are unbelievably high performance that are under $300. This is just like a molded plastic box, pretty much, with a motor in it, right? Anyway, the spring ramp does fit on here fine. However, the little spring that they include continually popped over the edge, and I installed two different ones. They both do the same thing. I haven't seen anyone else mention this, so maybe I'm just unlucky, but the spring pops over the front, and then what happens is instead of the spring levering the ramp up, it actually holds it down and doesn't even function as a spring ramp, which, again, like I said, to me is not a huge deal because the paint feeds off of that little part anyway. This little ramp, I don't even know why they did that. I don't think it did anything before. I don't think it's necessary, whatever. But still, again, there should be no problems with this hopper at this price. Speaking of things that should and shouldn't be, the little spring ramp things don't come with it. What is it again? $235 for the hopper itself, and they can't give you the little flap. In a different life, many years ago, I did some work that involved manufacturing and importing from overseas, and I can tell you that these parts, this and the little spring ramp part, if they're landing this, meaning when they import it, when landed means like you've paid everything you had to pay, it's yours now. If they're landing these for over $4 for a set, I would be stunned. I'm certain it's less than that. So how they can't find it in their margin to just include the little plastic flap for a $235 hopper is a complete mystery and, ridiculous in my opinion. So not only should the back one really not even be included, they should just make this flat, but they ought to include the spring ramps and not make you pay for them. That's a big issue for me. Speaking of things that aren't included, we mentioned the speed feed, $45 more for a speed feed, bringing, even if you didn't have to buy the spring ramps and they did include them, you're still talking about $235, $280 for the speed feed with the hopper. So, value-wise, this thing is kind of a train wreck. Another problem with this, that we have these cool badges on the side, and here, I'll pop it open again, actually. I've read a couple of times on the internet, 3 times now I've seen, where, these badges, if you can see in here, they're held in with little clips, like they snap through the shell. and they seem pretty secure to me. However, I've read now 3 different places where people had these get shot by a paintball and fall off. Now, I'm not an expert, but it's a paintball hopper. I think we can probably expect it's going to get shot by a paintball. And here I'm like a broken record. For $300, things shouldn't fall off of it when it gets shot by a paintball. Arguably, it's the most exposed part of your setup, and it's going to get shot. Things shouldn't fall off of it for $300. Now, if you do get one of these, I will tell you that you can kind of push little snap thick clips together and pop these off. I would take them off when you get it, if you want them on there anyway, and put some clear silicone adhesive behind it and snap it back together, and then wipe off the excess, and maybe wipe some across the back as well. And once that dries, it will never come off ever. But again, not a big deal. It's just a cosmetic badge, but really, stuff's going to fall off my $300 hopper when it gets shot by paintballs. I mean, come on. Okay, now we come back to this little LED level thing. There's more detail to how it's set up than I can remember. They says specifically, like, at a certain feet per second, it's set so that it's green when your gun's at exactly the right level to shoot. I think it's the back corner on a regulation NXL field. In my opinion, this is complete, just like, I don't know what, shenanigans. I call shenanigans. Right? If you're not shooting exactly the feet per second that they say, it doesn't work. If you're shorter or taller, it doesn't work as delivered. I mean, this the whole idea is kind of ridiculous. Like, why not just put a target out there and shoot at it? Like, how is that not better than like having to look off your target line to see if you've got the right level or not? I mean, to me, this is just something else to fail and something else to charge more for that has really no actual utility. Next issue. Speed feed. If it's kind of slides back and forth a little bit, which in and of itself isn't a big deal because of the way it mounts, and it actually mounts pretty easily. It's pretty neat. There's a little spring clip in here, and you just press it and it pops out, and you can put the rain lid in. I don't have it over here, and this just slides back in. So that part's okay. But once it's clipped, it does move a little bit, and when it's in, if you don't remember to shove it backwards a little bit, it will. When I shove it back, it's on there nice and tight. But if you don't do that, it's very soft to pop off, and in fact will pop, not off, but open, and it will open when you run around. So when you got to remember, when you close it, you have to shove it back a little bit, or if it's on your gun, you reach up and like you can put your finger in there and pull it back a little, and it'll be fine. But once again, I keep coming back to the same thing. $300, I shouldn't have to fiddle with my speed feed so it doesn't pop open when I'm running around, right? And that's kind of the central theme for this hopper for me. It does have one other issue, which may or may not even be an issue. However, I'm going to mention it because it's a $300 hopper, right? Every time I put it in a gun, I feel it flexing a little bit at this feed tube. Now, not enough that I feel like it's going to fail, and the plastic is very thick, but it's certainly possible that over time, that flexure will fatigue the plastic and it could crack, possibly. I don't know why they didn't shore it up a little bit. I think it's just because this bottom piece has a little flex to it. And I tried it on several different guns with aluminum feed neck. It's not the neck, it's the hopper for sure. So when you have it in there and you kind of put your finger like this on the gun, you can like squeeze it back and forth like that a little bit. This is not a big deal. It doesn't bounce around when you run or like flop around. It's just something I noticed that I really stood out because I've never noticed that with any other hopper. I've never really noticed a hopper doing that, and this one does. So, should you buy it? That's what I always say, right? That's my thing. Should you buy it? No, I don't think you should. The performance of it's very good. It looks very cool. Most of the issues are minor, right? I mean, we're obviously buying a hopper to hold paint and feed it reliably, and it does those things, and it looks cool. The speed feeds are effective, which they should be for $45 more. It's functional. The problem is that what you're getting for the money you're spending, especially at retail, if you don't have any of these coupons, is just not sufficient, in my opinion. The most recent one that I saw was a 40% off coupon, and even at 40, well, I shouldn't say even, at 40% off, when you get the whole shooting match, right, the hopper, the speed feed, and the ramps, it comes to $170 with shipping. I checked, and that is a good value, I'd say, compared to other high-end hoppers. Spires are over $200. R2 rotors are over $200. At that huge sale price, that's a solid value, $170 for what is overall a very good hopper. But that's 40% off. I mean, what a huge number you have to hit in order to get it to not be a bad value. So if you find one used for a good price, or you get one of those big coupons, sure. But if it's retail or you don't have a big discount, there's way better options, way better. So let's take a look at a couple of them real quick. This is a Spire IR. These are $110 retail. Now this is like this limited color edition is a little bit more. I think this one was on sale actually for $110, but whatever. I mean, you can find them if you're patient a little bit for sure at $110. I think the one like the black or single color ones are $110. Again, they don't come with the speed feed, and it's $45, and the ramps are $12, just like in the Bunker Kings. And that brings the total of this to $167 though, which is a couple bucks cheaper than you need for the control at 40% off. These are the retail prices, right? So you can regularly find these with all the stuff on sale for a lot less than that. It's a great hopper. And oh, I'm sorry, I forgot to mention one of the negatives real quick. I'm going to point out on this one. The button on the bottom, the power button, you have to super lean on it to get it to turn on and off, because they put too much space in between the button and the circuit board, and it's difficult to turn on and off. Another super annoying thing. This, for a lot less money, and I mean a lot less, like over 40% less, has a power button. And look what happens when you push it. It turns on. Unbelievable. No drama, no smashing it. Nice mechanical on-off switch. Works great. These also come apart very easily. This little catch here slides up, and then you push it in, and the whole top just pops off. There's a spring-loaded release in here instead of magnets, but when you squeeze that, and whoops, I turned it on by accident. The button works so well, you accidentally turn it on. And it pops out. It looks familiar, right? That's because it is. It doesn't have the magnetic tower, but these are the same. Yeah, if I pop it off. Low rubber feet. The feet are a little bit different, but obviously you can see the resemblance. Same type of system. These things feed great. They don't jam. Extremely reliable. Again, spring ramp. There's not much to say about it. The design is very similar. Goes back together real easy. You just kind of stick it in there, and it slides back in. You put that little tongue in the groove, snap back together, push the little latch down, done. Way less money, very good performance. Again, these will easily feed 15 balls a second. I don't ever play at that rate. I use 10.2 always when I'm ramping. Not that I'm an XL guy or anything. That's what I do. And really any hopper that's even worth calling a hopper is going to feed at that speed. So the performance is not an issue. Certainly this is no exception. Solid, good materials, 167 bucks. This is a Valken VSL. The Valken VSL retail between $89 and $109, depending on where you find it. This one was $89. I looked recently, or I should say recently, last night, and the red and black was actually $109, and some different colors were $89, but let's call it $100, right? Between $89 and $109, depending on which one you're going to get. So $100. The speed feed also does not come with it. However, it's only $15 or $20, depending on which one you get. I think this Valken one is $20, and there's an aftermarket one or two available that are $15. No spring ramps needed, and that comes to a total of $120. Once again, 15 balls a second and no problem for these things. I've used this particular one a bunch, and it has never jammed on me yet. I can't say that it won't ever under any circumstances, but I've put many cases of paint through this thing, and it has never jammed on me. Once again, power button, and look at that. You just press it, and it works. Unbelievable. How they can manage a power button that actually works for only $120. What a mystery, right? Not really. So, yeah, this thing does a couple interesting things. This isn't that interesting, but when 50 cal was kind of trying to be a thing, when these came out, they advertised them as convertible, and they come with a different insert for the little part that turns to feed the paint. Not called a rotor, but whatever it is in there. And you could just snap a different one in and use 50 cal. Well, that obviously never became a thing, so no one cares about that, but it does do it. Another thing that's interesting is as delivered, these have, now I don't remember the specific, here I'm going to pop this open for you, latch up, and then pop this out, and it comes apart. They all kind of come apart the same. So as delivered, this has a little floor in here and I think the capacity is around 170 with a little floor in, and there's a kind of a floor in the front as well. Yeah, so I'm trying to remember. Maybe there wasn't one in the front. I took it out right when I bought it. I think maybe it's only in the back. Anyway, you pop out that floor in the back here, and you get something like 20 or 25 extra ball capacity. The bottom of the tray here is flush with the feed, so I never have any problem with it feeding in there. I'm not really sure why they include it, but without it, you get a little bit more capacity, and which is cool. And then you see the front is angled, and it actually has. I think the idea of the rib is very low resistance, and the balls kind of move around. They can't sit flat on there. I'm not really sure, but the angle is sufficient for me. I never have any problems feeding. I very rarely do I have to shake it around to get a ball to feed, and that's with no spring ramps. So spring ramps don't come with it, but you can't even get any, and it feeds fine the way it is. Again, all the same things apply. I've been saying it goes together very easily. All of these kind of do. Now, speaking of capacity, these also come with this little wedge, which spaces up the shell and allows for even more capacity. And I haven't put this on in a while, so bear with me for a second. But it's a little, admittedly, it's a little bit fiddly to put this thing on, especially when you haven't done it much. But this goes on here, and I'm going to put the shell on here in a second. I will say that if you're like an aggressive sort of divey guy, these can, when you put the wedge in, it makes them a little bit less, reliable as far as staying together. So if you're going to play like real aggressive diving around and you want to use the wedge, I would recommend popping this in and coming up with a way, like maybe take some black electrical tape and go down the edge. Now, and to keep it in. I think hardly anybody who would want to play like that would also want to use the wedge. And with the wedge in, I've banged it against stuff and dropped it, and it's never come off for me. I've just heard people say that they've had them come off, so I wanted to offer that up. Like I said, I've never had it come off. So anyway, this pops on, and once you have that on there, you put this together just the way you did before. Let me make sure I get it on straight. Did I get it right? Yeah. And so you just snap it together like always, push the little clip back down, and now you have 260 something ball capacity. And it kind of looks pretty tall, but really I think it's because of the angle, the cosmetic look of those angles. When you stand it up next to another hopper, now it is taller, but I don't know if you can even see that. It's really only barely taller. I mean, we're talking about a couple of millimeters maybe. And this will hold over 260 balls in this configuration, which is pretty awesome. $120. They feed great, super reliable, and like I said, that one warning about the wedge and banging on stuff, I've heard that. I've never witnessed it. I've dropped this off my gun, like forgot to clamp it on, and it came flying off and landed on the ground full of paint, which made a mess of the paint, but it didn't come apart. I've banged it on things, dropped it on my workbench or in the, at the field, dropped it on the ground. I've never had it come apart, but people say it does, so I guess I'm just trying to be fair about it, right? But $120 works great. There's one more hopper value-wise I want to mention because I think it's the best value, and I loaned out my last one, and I don't have one here to show you. It is a GI Sports Level 1.5. That's LVL. You can get the Impact Edition, which is a brown, or it's black, I guess, with some brown impact. Edmonton Impact's a tournament team, in case you don't know. It has their graphic on it. It's really kind of a small graphic over the whole thing. And it looks really good with any kind of earth tone or camo-looking guns. Or any guns that have gold or bronze on them. Looks cool. The level 1.5 is super reliable, feeds super fast, and ANS has that Edmonton Impact Edition on sale for $89, and that comes with the speed feed for $89. Awesome value. I mean, it's a little ridiculous, frankly, that I don't have one here to show you, because out of all these ones I'm talking about, I think that one is the best value right now because of that $89 deal. Without that deal, I think they're $129. But again, comes with a speed feed, and even the VSL still is $20 more for a speed feed, and then we got the Spire IR here, $45 more for a speed feed, which gets the price right up in, like I said, $167, and you can get those levels 1.5 for $89 with all in. So all kinds of values and hoppers. Bunker King's Control. Overall, a super cool hopper. I mean, I'm not trying to hate on the hopper. The little issues I mentioned, pretty much every one of them is minor. You know, I can fix up that button on the inside and do something to it so that it presses more easily. But I shouldn't have to. I can fix the badges so that they won't fall off. I shouldn't have to. I could try to remember to push the speed feedback so it doesn't pop open when I run around. Shouldn't have to. I mean, I can go on and on, right? I can probably fix this spring so the rear spring ramp actually works. I shouldn't have to. These are all inexcusable on such an expensive hopper. So, you know, really cool looking, very high performance. It feels very high quality. And apart from that very minor flexing issue, which probably wouldn't bother anybody but me because I'm, you know, just like that. But, you know, I just don't even think you should do that. They should have seen that coming and fixed it. But, yeah, performance-wise, function-wise, looks-wise, really nice hopper. $292, completely ridiculous. Let me know what you think. Put some comments below. A lot of people love this thing. I'm pretty sure I'm going to get some hate eventually when people start seeing my channel, if they ever do. But let me know what you think. This is like an interesting case, right? Because I think the product itself is mostly good, but the price is ridiculous. So that to me, it gives me a sour taste in my mouth, frankly. It's so expensive. It makes it hard for me to even appreciate how nice it is. And it's pretty nice, right? So give me some comments. What do you think about it? What hopper do you like? You notice I didn't mention rotors in here much. I don't think rotors are a great value. They are very high performance. They feed really, really fast. But their biggest sort of claim to fame is that if you need a force feed hopper that'll feed like 400 jillion balls a second, there's no other game in town. They're super fast. But they're more prone to jamming, really, than any other hopper. And that isn't to say that they jam every 5 seconds. I mean, but they're more prone to jamming than other hoppers. Spires I've been using forever. I've never had one jam, ever. So that's why I didn't really mention them too much. But lots of people love rotors. If you think I should have talked about those more, comments. If you like what you see, please like the video and subscribe. People say that every time. I really would like folks to be able to see this and you know, get some assistance with getting good values on stuff and get real, reliable, unbiased information on things. And that's why I'm here. So I really appreciate you stopping by, and I hope you let me know what you think. Have a great day.